This is the New York City FC Pregame Live. Tonight, New York City look for another 3 points in the Eastern Conference playoff race as they host Toronto FC. And now, here are your hosts, Glenn Crooks and Matty Lawrence.
There we are. Game scheduled for last night, along with all the other games that were played. And I thought initially it was because of the storm and the high winds, this hurricane passing through in a minor way, really. But no, it was a water main break in the town of Harrison, which they couldn't repair in time. Apparently they got it figured out and fixed by midnight last night, but hence the postponement and a 1 p.m. or 1:09 p.m. kickoff. So we're still here with our pregame live. We'll have our live commentary beginning at what time? 12:45. I'm telling you, I changed the time on this thing. Hey, speak. I didn't hear you.
12:45.
There you are.
Yeah.
All right, there you
Here
are.
I am.
All right, good.
I've been here since 4:00 yesterday.
Yeah, we came in yesterday. We figured, hey, let's party on the roof of Red Bull Arena. It's a few people came over, and not really, but for New York City, we got a chance to before the game hang a little with Nick Cushing down on the field, and Nick. I will say something about Nick, and sometimes, Matty, you may not see these, but sometimes there's some criticism directed towards, myself for maybe not being as clear about his situation and what's going on and his ability as a coach because of my relationship with him or our relationship with him. But I don't think that's really been the case. I would say, number one, people have not listened to our commentary, and we're fair, but if we think a different substitute should have come on, we say it. Case in point, when Alfredo Morales came on for the injured Keaton Parks against the Red Bulls in the derby, we were pretty harsh with our commentary there because it just seemed like you needed a more attacking player. But the point is that, look, we are closer to him than a lot of the people watching right now and listening. I understand that. It's a privilege, and it's part of the kind of honor of doing this. I'm a coach, so I love just talking to coaches, and he'll talk about stuff night and day, men, women, every league across the world. So I think my point is that he's always the same.
Yes.
Really, isn't he? I mean, he doesn't really change his demeanor.
And look, I think we've been critical of Nick Cushing and the team throughout the season, and I think any of the players and Nick Cushing will accept the criticism because they haven't played as well as they should. They haven't lived up to the billing, and Santi Rodriguez hasn't lived up to his 2.1 million designated player title. Tyler Magno hasn't. So while yes, we may be slightly biased towards NYCFC and Nick Cushing, I certainly don't think we're afraid to critique and certainly castigate some of the performances as well. So I have no problem with that at all, and I have no problem with looking Nick in the eye and explaining some of the things that I was saying.
And we've done that.
And look,
we've had conversations with Nick and David Lee that have been, sometimes difficult chats because
the one thing you said,
because opinions are offered.
The one thing you said is that Nick has always been wonderful with us. He's always affable. He's always very personable. And he's always got time for us. Whether that means because of that we are slightly biased towards him, I would disagree, because I think I'm only too willing to critique and give my opinion on what goes on. I don't think there's any way we could sit here, having been through the season so far, and say everything's rosy and what a wonderful season it's been. The good thing, though, is there's games remaining, and there is still a good chance of NYCFC getting into the playoffs. Of course, part of that's because 9 out of 15 teams make it, but they're the rules. NYCFC don't make the rules, and so if they can win their last 4 games, I think there's a fair chance they'll be in the playoffs.
Well, remarkably, as you look out, the goalkeepers are starting to warm up for New York City FC, and that was Matt Freeze. He's right at the near post there, and in the darker kit, that's goalkeeper coach and set-piece coach Rob Bartughian. But I think one of the more amazing things about the game today is if New York City earns 3 points, this thing will end around 3 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah.
They will be in playoff position for the first time since May. Let's make sure. Make sure
the pitch is falling over.
I have one of these. I wish I could show it to you, but we may not see any more pictures of Red Bull Arena. But you got a good look at it.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me make sure, Matty, that this doesn't tumble onto the field. Okay, good.
And the one good thing here is the field. The pitch is always magnificent.
Good. Yeah, after all the
it?
rain, it's firm and it's in fantastic condition. But New York City, it's May 17th after a 1-1 draw with Orlando. Remember, at Orlando, it was a late goal by Gabe Siegel, who's been loaned out since. That's the last time they've been, and they were in 9th place at the end of that. If they win today, they'll be in the 9th position, still with teams behind them with games in hand. But that'll be something to be able to wake up in the morning and click on the MLS website and maybe see you in that playoff spot.
Look, we and the players aren't going to get ahead of ourselves, but you're absolutely right. To jump into those playoff positions will feel very good. But again, that's still only job partially done. And look, let's talk about today as well and playing against Toronto. On paper, it should be a comfortable victory. Toronto are poor. There's zero team spirit, it seems. There's zero leaders out there. Bernardeschi and Insigne don't want to be here. They're happy to pick up the money, but they actually don't want to be here. They show that every time they step out on the field.
I've got a picture of Insigne here after they told him what he'd be making at Toronto. $7.5 million. And here's another one of Insigne looking towards Bob Bradley before he was fired and said, "You want me to run without the ball?
Yeah,
you want me to defend?" And of course, I'm just having some fun here. Do you want to let me play an Insigne thing? Because you brought it up. Yeah, between him and Bernardeschi, they're on 14 million plus, right?
Yeah.
So, and we'll be able to talk through this. So this is just to set it up. Toronto's last game, they lost 4-0 to Inter Miami. New York City, one of their better performances, topped Orlando City 2-0. We're going to talk about that game in a moment. But this, you brought up Insigne, and I thought I'd just show this clip. Now, the guy's got talent. I don't think we've ever denied that. Bernardeschi, same thing. Talented players. And when they came to Toronto almost together, it was considered something that was going to put Toronto over the top. It worked in quite the opposite fashion. Bob Bradley, he struggled. He struggled with those guys, and he's no longer the manager. They've got a interim manager, Terry Dunfield, and then John Herdman's coming in October the 1st, the former Canadian men's and women's national team coach. So, but Insigne. Okay, so here, Inter Miami, early in the match, no score. And DeAndre Kerr, their young forward, dispossesses Busquets of the ball and then works his way on goal and gets a couple of shots off, and you'll see it here. But the way it started is Insigne, he lost the ball. So here, right at the top of your picture, you could see him right in the middle. You could see him walking around. We're going to show it again. Here's Kerr taking the shot save with the follow. Where's Insigne to pound on the rebound? Well, we're going to take another look at it here. This is, again, Kerr. Good player, good young player, Canadian. And here's Insigne now in slow motion. He just lost the ball, 24, and there he is walking. With his back to the play, now he turns around, says, okay, you do the work. There goes Kerr. Insigne still not moving. Here's a shot. Saved. Goes to the boom. Rebound. Insigne still hasn't left. And it's just an example of the players that have come in on big money in this league that don't do the work. The highest paid player in the league is Shaqiri. He's helped his team, but he doesn't work to his maximum. Insigne doesn't work to his maximum. Bernadeschi asked to come out of the Leagues Cup game. New York City led 3-0 at this facility, Red Bull Arena, on July the 26th in the Leagues Cup. They eventually won 5-0. Fernando Bernadeschi asked Terry Dunfield to come out of the game at halftime. He asked out.
He substituted himself.
So we remember the game, and we remember he came out. We thought, wow, did Dunfield have the courage to say, hey, you're out, man? It was the other way around. The guy just didn't want any part of it.
No, I have no problem saying they're an absolute disgrace. Both of them, Insigne and Bernadeschi, there's no doubting they are world-class players. They are. Bernadeschi's got 39 caps for Italy. That doesn't happen by chance.
Right.
Insigne's got 54 caps for Italy and 10 goals. That does not happen by chance. You don't play for Napoli and Juventus by chance. You are undoubtedly they are undoubtedly world-class players. But they have been a disgrace to themselves, to their families, to the game of football itself. And I've honestly never heard of a player substituting himself at half-time just because they were losing and things weren't going his way. And you almost forget the money. I don't care whether you're getting paid $7 or $7 million.
Yeah. To
have that little respect for yourself and for your teammates and for the people paying your wages and the fans, of course, first and foremost. As I say, it beggars belief. It really does. Every time I watch Toronto, I watch those two players very, very closely. I don't think Insigne is going to play today, but I watch them closely, and they never move unless they have the ball. They literally do not move unless they have the ball at their feet.
So for me, it's like you look at a situation like that. I'm sorry, there's I'm hearing feedback, and I don't know why. So let's just see. Okay, so you still hear that?
Yeah.
So what is that?
It's a couple of birds cheeping in the background.
Keep talking, Matty. Talk about something.
But
tell a story.
Well, the thing today is Toronto have been on the road. They travelled down to Miami. They obviously got beaten comfortably 4-0 down in Miami. They then stayed another night down in Miami. Then they came up here a couple of days ago.
So they've been on almost a week.
So they've been on the road
trip.
Has that brought the team together? Who knows? They're off the back of a 4-0 loss. It's probably incredibly miserable in that dressing room. And when they've trained in Jersey, I assume the last couple of days as well. Add to that Michael Bradley, who struggles to move. Add to that Insigne or Bernadeschi. I think only Bernadeschi is going to play. They don't move. And then they've got a bunch of young players as well. And there's no leaders in that team at all. But the one thing is they're free of any shackles. It doesn't matter. Whatever happens, they can lose 10-0 or win 10-0. It really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You would hope for me, and forget anything about NYCFC, I would hope that Toronto come out and perform because they are free of any pressure. Go out there and perform to the best of your ability, knowing that your new manager is watching on as well and takes over in a week's time or 10 days' time on October the 1st. They should be playing for their lives and playing for their careers. Let's wait and find out what happens.
And they haven't. Only one team's been eliminated from the playoffs, Colorado. Yeah. But if Toronto today either draws the game or loses to New York City, then they will be the second team eliminated. And if we go back to our, we have someone who's chimed in who doesn't think we're shills for Cushing, isn't it?
I'm definitely not a shill for Nick Cushing, that's for sure. And I don't think to be blatantly honest, I don't think he'd want us to be either.
No.
I think he's, as long as Patrick Vieira always used to say, we can criticise the team, the manager, as long as we come up with decent reasonings and also a fix as well. If we're saying that Alfredo Morales shouldn't have come on the other day against the New York Red Bulls, then we've got to say why and say what we would have done. And I think we did at the time. I think we said we don't need another defensive midfield player. I'll bring on a more attacking player. And any coach anywhere around the world can take criticism as long as it's fair, just, and also you're coming up with a solution as well.
Well, we got the starting lineup for New York City. Let's see if I can give it a show. And so Kevin O'Toole gets to start at left back again. And we see that Tylus Magno will be in the starting 11 for New York City FC, coming off the performance and the goal. Let's just replay it, and then we'll talk about it. But as you'll hear and as you heard quite often, Tyler Magno had not scored since late April until this one.
They play Santi Rodriguez on the right. Rodriguez high in the air to win a challenge, and now he's set up one-on-one with Santos. Little ball on the ground to find Jason. Back post, Tyler Magno! And Magno scores from Jason! It's a head ball goal! And he's getting mobbed by his teammates. They know how important that is to him. He's down on his knees. His head is on the ground. And he is visibly emotional and crying, scoring his first goal since April the 22nd and giving New York City a 2-0 lead. Well, what a moment here as Jason put in a great ball and Magno high into the air and the redirected header with power to beat Gillespie.
So a great finish, made it 2-0. So it was the insurance goal that New York City's been struggling to get this year, or a goal to put them on top, or a goal to equalize. Yeah, getting that second goal has been an issue, and Magno helped out. But it's it was you understood the emotions of it. I mean, the kid,
absolutely.
And then we saw him on the way in today when we were down on the pitch pregame, and he's just, I think a weight has been lifted. You get a sense of that. And he's ready to bang in another.
Yeah, we saw him walking in. We shook his hand. We said, good luck. Visibly, almost, he bounced in. It really did feel, and he was incredibly happy. He was bags of smiles.
Yeah.
And the more I see that goal as well, that was a fantastic header because it's behind him. There's not much pace on the delivery. Look, the delivery is magnificent from Jason, just standing it up there. But he really had to, as you said, he had to redirect it. He had to arch his back. He had to maneuver his neck. And he really had to impart pace on the ball as well because there wasn't any on the delivery. Also, when you look at it from Orlando's point of view, stop the cross, stop the delivery. There's two players there really not dying.
It's almost like he snuck in.
Stop. Yeah.
No. And Jason made an interesting comment in his midweek presser. He was on with Nick. And he talked about how, because I asked him the question, I said, look, you never really got your head up. It wasn't like you saw Magno at the back post. And he said, no, we're taught to just serve the ball into an area.
Absolutely.
And then it's the guy off the ball's responsibility to attack that space.
100%. He's just standing it up to the back post. And as you say, it's then up to teammates to get on the end of it. It was a magnificent cross and a magnificent header. And I'm really pleased for both players. Andres Jason hasn't scored enough goals, hasn't provided enough assists, and Tyler Magno likewise. So it's good to see two young players providing the assist and then obviously the goal as well. But this is another day here. They've got to go out and prove they can do it again here. Each player playing on Jason on the right flank, Tyler Magno playing on the left flank, we assume.
So would you believe me if I told you that Nick Cushing told Tyler Magno when he subbed him in that he was going to score? And I don't know. Would you?
I knew the moment was going to come. We actually had a conversation in the office to say, Tyler's moment is coming. You do not work this hard and put this much in and be so honest and be such a good guy whilst working hard and not get the payback, because he's talented. The one thing he has is talent.
And somebody said, you said to someone, I can't remember who it is now, that I hope they caught it on the broadcast because I told him he was going to score. Is that right?
Just before he went on, I said, you will score. Because sometimes it just fits for you. And it was going well for us in the game, the feeling of the team. We were fighting hard, we were playing, and they're a really good team, Orlando. And like I say, at some point, if Tyler sees the field, and the problem is, it's so competitive, our squad. Julian Fernandez wants a game, needs a game. He's working hard. Andres Jason went from playing to being out the squad to now being in the team, scoring and assisting. And this is how you make a successful team, in my opinion. This is how you make consistency in performance and results, is with competition for places.
So there's Nick Cushing regarding Tyler Magno, said he was due and he got it, and thinks that he'll maybe get another one today. He's in the starting 11 with Monsef Bakrar, who scored the first goal after Santi Rodriguez's penalty was saved. Rodriguez had earned the penalty, took the penalty. It was saved by Gillespie, but Bakrar was there, and that was the 2-0 scoreline.
I think it was. I think we said it on the broadcast. That's probably the best performance of the season because it was a 96 minute performance. I think we've seen fits and starts of a very good NYCFC team, but we've not seen it consistently enough over a whole game, a whole 90 minutes. We certainly haven't seen it in a run of games, and now we need to see it in a run of games. Otherwise, they're not going to make the playoffs. Orlando are a good team, and they made Orlando look very, very ordinary, NYCFC. I thought it was not a comfortable win, but certainly a very well-deserved win.
Yeah, I thought it was as comfortable as it's been for New York City FC, and getting that second goal in the 68th minute, really provided some of the comfort level. Now, I have one more thing before we get ourselves ready for the live commentary, which will start at 12:45, kickoff 1:09, 12:45 on the New York City FC network. Tune in, the NYCFC app, and a little bit later after that, Apple TV. If you're watching this game on Apple TV today, I would expect you to go to the hometown commentary. That's us.
Yep.
That's us. We'll give it
Not
straight.
Expect, it's demanded.
We'll give it straight. I've used every word: challenge, demand. What's wrong with you? But Andres Jason, and since this kid came in, he has been the guy. So his rookie season, he played enough minutes to earn the honor of most fouls suffered per 90 minutes. Right now, currently, he's number one in MLS in most fouls suffered. And he got clobbered 6 times against Orlando on Wednesday. But I did ask him at this presser, and here's his response to the fact that he's good at this. So what does he credit it to?
I think from a young age, I've always been smaller and always played up. So I think it probably started with being a bit younger than guys, maybe not as fast or strong, and maybe taking like slightly a bad touch and just having to put my body in between the defender and the ball. And I think a lot of defenders are often pretty eager to win the ball back, especially when they see like a chance. And I think I've gotten really good at identifying when the body language of a defender is they're diving in, they're coming in for a ball. So I think that's probably the main one, is just being able to like quickly tell with a defender's body language, with their momentum, like whether or not they're coming in for a tackle, and just put my body in between. So I say that's probably the main one, just like identifying and really reading the defender, whether or not they're going to step or not.
Pretty interesting. So it's not just random how he does it.
Yep.
He's reading the defender. And a really good example of that, I don't know if you remember at the end of the Leagues Cup against Toronto here at Red Bull Arena, Shane O'Neill got his second yellow. Shane O'Neill will be in the starting lineup. I would imagine he'll be on the back line along with Michael Bradley, unless Bradley moves back into the midfield. We not quite certain how it's all going to be set up yet with the schematics. But Shane O'Neill got his second yellow like in the 84th, 85th minute. And I look back at it. I don't have the clip for you, sorry. But you could see Jason see O'Neill kind of rush after taking this information in, just how he kind of sets it up. And I'm not saying it's unique that he's the only player in the world that does this, but this is one of the reasons he's good at it. He sees it coming.
Yeah, he sees it coming. I do think quite often defenders, as Andres says, are too eager to win the ball. They're almost, defenders are diving in. And yes, it's easy to read that. The other point that I took was he knows how to get his body in between the defender and the ball. Yep. And the minute he feels a touch, I'm not going to say he's cheating, but the minute he feels a touch, he goes over as well. Right. He does have an ability to win fouls, maybe when they aren't fully deserved and maybe when they're not actually justified. But he is good at it. And the one thing we know with Andres Jason is a tireless worker as well. You know you're getting 100% from him every single game. He may not be up there with Hani Mukhtar and Acosta and the most talented players in the league, but what he does is he works incredibly hard for himself and for the team as well. And I think he's fully deserving of his place in the starting lineup.
Yep, he'll be back in today. As Matty said, he'll be on the right, Tylus Magno on the left, Vicente Rodriguez in between. Finally, this guy used to be in the New York City FC Academy, Dante Polvara. He's now a midfielder for Aberdeen. He's the first American to score in a UEFA competition in the 2023-24 season, although on track, Frankfurt came back and won the match 2-1. And he played 71 minutes. Interesting, Paxton Aronson was on the other side playing for Frankfurt. But this guy, Polvara, he won 2 national championships with the NYCFC Academy. He was an NCAA champion at Georgetown. He was the Herman Trophy winner. And now he's getting it done in Europe. So former NYC guy, I thought I'd give a shout out. All right, Matty, ready to go?
I certainly am.
All right, it's 5 minutes away from our pregame show starting on the New York City FC Network. Go to nycfc.com/radio. And remember to listen to us while you're watching on Apple, since we're the home team today. There's a drop-down app that gives you the English hometown commentary. So for Matty Lawrence, I'm Glenn Crooks. Enjoy the game, everybody.